everyone. So I wanted to kind of show off a little Python application that I made for both GPT-4 and Claude 3. I've noticed that, there's a lot of videos talking about using AI to make books and stuff. So I wanted to kind of create my own version of that. And basically what this program does is kind of like condenses all the things, all the steps that you would have to take to generate a book using the chat programs. Instead, this uses the API and it tries to keep all of the chapters as consistent as possible. So basically what you'll do is you'll come in here and you'll just fill in what you want the title of the book to be and the author name and the general description. But I've made some templates for describing the book. So let's say you wanted to do some kind of sci-fi science fiction book, you can create templates like I have here, and then you just copy it and paste it in the description. So when it goes to generate the book, it will base the story off of how you described it, and the main character name, basically the main premise of the story. So what you're going to do is you're going to go in here and you're going to change each thing to match the premise of the story that you're trying to make, basically. So the character name will stay persistent throughout the book. So you have to be, I would make something that is very unique, but right now I'm just going to show you, just for demonstration purposes, how you would set this up. So I'm starting off a sci-fi novel by introducing character description. So let's say, okay, his name is Bob, and we'll say he is a rustic old man named Bob, and he is living in a, let's say, dystopian world where environmental challenges prevail. And then we'll describe the setting, impact of technology, and this is basically what you're telling the AI to do, basically. So you could kind of change this around if you wanted to. You could change it to, instead of extraterrestrial elements, you could change it to something else, like it's some kind of environmental change that's causing problems in society. So the impact of the environment, or, technology, some new technology like AI, the impact of AI technology. Yeah. And then we delete this part right here. On society. As the story unfolds, you would put Bob, which you would use something much more unique than Bob. I'm just using this as an example. So encounters a technological breakthrough. We'll go with that. That promises a change of course of humanity, which that is indeed what AI is going to do. It's going to change the course of humanity. So I'm just going to finish this out, and then I'll get back with you, and I'm going to show you how you would go about using this. And the main thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to set up the API key for the interface, basically. And I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so now I've created a general description, basically describing how I want the book to start out. And basically it's going to go through all of this. It's going to use this description throughout the entirety of the book to write each chapter. And based on the previous chapter, it's going to try to continue off of the previous chapter, the middle chapter, and once it gets to the end chapter, it will actually draw a conclusion and stuff, a climax for the story. So, you want to kind of try and put as much as you can in the description, because that helps out the AI quite a bit to make the story more unique. And you can basically select how many chapters you want to generate. So I'm just going to go with 6 chapters for now, and I'm just going to use GPT 3.5, but I've also got a selection window here, and you can choose GPT-4. And then this is not going to work yet, but when GPT-4 Turbo comes out, then you'll be able to select this. And you can also probably just type in, the Model 2. If it's not available on the list, you could try it that way. But for now, I'm just going to use GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K. And then I'm going to hit generate book, and I'm going to show you how it works. It'll show an output console, basically shows what chapters it generates and whether or not it needs to remake a chapter. So sometimes if it feels like a chapter is repeating itself, it will go back and try to regenerate and replace that chapter. So I tried to implement, quite a few things into it, but this is just basically something very useful if you want to start using AI to create books. You can basically have this generate most of the chapters for you, and then you go back through and correct things and change the chapters up and change the words up, add some more unique words and add your own spin to it. So this is basically just something to help you kind of guide you in a direction so that it kind of takes some of the load off, the mental load off of creating a book. So I'm going to go ahead and generate here and show you how it works. And as it's generating, you don't want to click off of it or anything like that, or click in some weird area, because it's going to have a progression bar here that shows when a chapter is generated. So each time a new chapter is generated, it will have a compression bar here. So see, the first chapter was generated and it says chapter 1, chapter 1. Of course, I've got it fixed in there where it shouldn't say that twice. That was an issue with the script. But it says the old man in the futuristic wasteland. So yeah, it's definitely going off of this dystopian way I described it. Now, 3.5 is not that great at writing stories, but GPT-4 is much better, and Claude 3 is even better than that. So you can see it's already generated chapter 2, and I'm just going to get back with you when it's done generating here. So okay, it's done, and of course it's going to say originality check failed due to common character names, which Bob is a very common name, but you can still save it as a PDF. And then if you scroll down here, you can see the chapters that it generated, and then I'm going to go ahead and save it, and I'm just going to put it in my AI generated books here, and I'm just going to call it artificial questions. Save. Now if I look here, it's saved 27 kilobytes. I'm going to open it up, and here's the book, Artificial Questions by Ray in GPT 3.5. And we can read down through here, and we can see that it is using his name. Dusty wind whipped through Bob's tattered clothes. And if we scroll all the way down through here, we'll read the bottom of chapter 1. So it kind of summarizes what's happened in chapter 1. And then based off that summary, it generates chapter 2. So we hear at the end of chapter 2, basically, let's see what he was doing. So little did he know that the adventure would push him to confront his deepest fears and grapple with his own identity, ultimately refine the very essence of what it meant to be human. So it's talking about a holographic image still growing in his mind. And in chapter 2, Bob's journey through the dystopian world had only just begun. He stumbled upon artificial questions device. So yeah, it's going to base some of the story off of what you put as the title as well. He delved deeper into the secrets he discovered. The so-called salvation promise come with a price. So yeah, it's going to try to base the next chapter off of the previous chapter and continue it forward. But you can see it went through and created all 6 chapters. Chapter 4, and you can see it's still referring to him as Bob. Let me get through here. Chapter 5, and then in chapter 6, it's going to conclude the story. So if we look down here, you can see that it will conclude it near the end. So it says, farewell, dear readers, and then it says, may the story of Bob and Lily inspire you to embark on your own quest for humanity. So this is pretty powerful for, making books fairly quickly. And then all you got to do is go back through each chapter and just kind of correct some of the things that didn't seem right or was a little bit off. Or you could have it rewrite the chapter, and you could just use it as, something for inspiration, Because, if you go through and you try to publish something like this, it's not going to be that great. But if you go through and rewrite things and add your own unique spin on it, then basically you can make books fairly quickly. using AI. So I've seen a lot of so-called tutorial videos telling you how to make books with AI, but they're just basically telling you to use prompts, and then you're having to copy and paste and do all that. Well, this does most of that for you. So all you really need to do is come up with the idea of the story, and then you can have AI do a lot of the bulk work for you in making the chapters. And of course, GPT-4 does better, but it's also more expensive to use the API with GPT-4 and especially Claude 3. But I'm also going to demonstrate Claude 3 as well. But first, I'm going to show you how you would set up the API so that you'll be able to actually use this application. So if you go to the quick start tutorial in the documentation for OpenAI, it basically tells you here how you would set up your API key. So the first thing you need to do is actually get an API key. So if you go to platform.openai.com and then go to API keys, but you have to have an account. So you have to set up an account, and then you'll go over here and basically you'll create a new key and you just give it a name, and then you'll take that key and copy it, and you go back here and then you'll open up your command prompt. So you just type in CMD in your search window on Windows, and you would basically copy and paste this code into your command prompt. And then right here, you would delete this portion of it, and also make sure you've got the quotation marks there. And then you would go back to your API keys and copy your key, which you'd already copied it by now. And then you'll just paste it in here. You'll paste your API key in there, and then you'll just hit enter. And basically it will automatically set up your API key. But there is also another way of doing that. And if you go into Start and you just search System and you click on, edit system environmental variables or view advanced system settings, either one of these, you can click on advanced system settings, and you can just click down here where it says environmental variables, and you can set up your API keys through here as well. And basically all you have to do is enter in for Claude 3, it will be Anthropic _API _key. And for OpenAI, it is OpenAI _API _key. And then you'll put in as the value the API key. So you have to make sure that these are in your variables. If they're not in your environmental variables after using the command prompt method, then you can come here and manually do it. So all you have to do is click new, and you can basically make these two variables inside of your environmental variables. So once you get your keys set up, then what you need to do is you'll have to buy some actual, like you have to put money on the API, otherwise you won't be able to actually use it. So it has to have some funding available before you can actually use it. So this is how much funding I have available right now on OpenAI's API. And if I go to Anthropic, I can, basically get my key from the API keys as well. And this is through the console, anthropic.com. And you would go to the billing and basically buy some more. You would just add funding to it so that you'll be able to use the API, and you can check here how much you've used it. So you can see on this day here, I used it quite a bit because I was using Claude 3 and I was testing the book generator, and this is how many tokens it generate in that day. So that's a way of checking it. And then when you check your building planning, he'll tell you how much money that you have left after using it. But Claude 3 is fairly expensive, but it also generates better quality books, in my opinion. So I'm going to demonstrate Claude 3. So I'm going to go ahead and X this one out. And I had to make two separate applications, one for Claude 3 and one for GPT-4. So here are the executable files. and I included them both in a zip file. And there's a download link on my Patreon and also on my Discord. So basically, what you'll do is you'll come to my Patreon page here, and it should be like the next post on the home page, or you can go to my collections and just click on Python scripts, and it'll be in there. And basically, you can just click on it after you've signed up to become a contributor, and you don't have to pay for membership outright. It has a 7-day free trial, so you could just sign up for the free trial, and just try out some of my stuff, and if you like it, then you can decide whether or not you want to actually donate some money. So you would come here and you would just click on this link after you've signed up, and it'll take you to my Google Drive, and you just click download. And you'll also, whenever you get them on your computer, you're going to have to add an exception to your antivirus. And I promise there's nothing nefarious inside of these programs. For some reason, though, my antivirus decided to say that there was some kind of virus inside of them, but this was all wrote inside of Python, and I'll show you. Here are the scripts that I wrote, and they're not that big. They're only like a couple of kilobytes. So I'm also writing one for like using a local AI model. I'm not quite done with that yet. I'm still testing it. And, it works, for more uncensored things, I guess, if you want to make some more, more naughty type books. But for right now, I'm just going to put the Claude 3 and the GPT-4 out for right now. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the Claude 3 just to show you that it actually works the same way as the other one does. For the book title, I'm going to go ahead and fill this information in, and then I'll get back with you. So with this one, I'm just going to generate 4 chapters. And with Claude 3, it seemed like I had to put quite like a few checks and balances with it. So like if it used the API too quickly or generated things too quickly and it was using too many tokens too quickly, I had to put stuff in the script to where it would limit the amount of tokens it would generate at once, and it had a timer that would increase so that it was able to reconnect and continue generating tokens through the API. And also with Claude 3, there is a limit to the amount of tokens that you can use per day. And once you reach that limit, pretty much it won't let you use it anymore. It doesn't matter if you add more money to the API. So whenever you generate your book, just make sure everything is good to go. Make sure your description is very well detailed and everything like that, and it should work out pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and generate this, and I'm just going to do 4 chapters, but let's see how it turns out. So, with Claude 3, it takes quite a bit longer, but it actually goes into a lot more detail per chapter. And you can scroll down through here and see just how much it wrote. And I'm just going to go ahead and save it as a PDF, and then we'll just name it The Golden Girl. We go back here and open it up, and we can take a look at it. So you can see it went through, generated each chapter. And of course, it kind of messed up there with chapter 4 and put 2.4. That's fine. That's an easy fix. And that's the final chapter. And you can see how it will conclude it. And though the road ahead was uncertain, Molly knew that she would face it with the same courage and determination that had brought her. So it's basically concluding the chapter, and like I said, each chapter, it will do like, it's supposed to do it like in a summary of what's happened so far for each chapter, and then it'll base the next chapter off of that summary. So it tries to prevent repeating itself each chapter. So you notice each chapter has its own unique name, and then each chapter will have its own unique theme, and it will basically try to continue off of the story from the previous chapter. So it works pretty well. And it's, if you want to try and write books and try to make money off of publishing books online, well, this makes it like 10 times easier. I would not recommend just generating a book with this and then trying to publish it. Obviously, you need to go back through it and make sure that everything lines up with the story and add your own unique flair to it and change things up. This is purely just meant as a guideline and to help people that have a lot of writer's block, that have trouble thinking of what they want to do for the next chapter of their book. This might help you. This might make it easier for you to write books and kind of get into that, you know. And that's what we want to use AI for. We want to use AI to kind of amplify our own creativity. You know, we don't want to use it to do everything for us, but we want to use it to make our lives a little bit easier. But that's about all I got to say. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below. And also, I want to thank my Patreons, the people that are donating to me right now. I really appreciate it. I appreciate Alfred. And I'm probably going to butcher this name, but I'm just going to call you Gala. And I appreciate Hassan for your $3 contribution. You're great people. You really didn't have to spend any money on me, but you did, and I really appreciate that. So it's like I was saying before, if you want to come to my Patreon, you'll have access to these applications. All you need to do is basically sign up for the free trial membership, and you'll become a contributor, and you'll also be able to join my Discord channel, where you'll be able to see my live stream updates and any other updates I might post for scripts, custom GPTs, comfy UI workflows, all that good stuff. So thank you very much, everyone, and take it easy, guys.